So we're here at the creek, and this is one of Stephen and William and I's favorite place to come and hang out, especially in this quarantine season that we're in. Now, I don't know how quarantine life has landed in your family, but it's not been the easiest. It's not been the most palatable, especially with the rain. And so days like today, where it's pretty, are days that we cherish. But sitting here at the creek, it reminded me of one of the signs that John documented as he was watching and observing the life of Jesus. You see, one day John or Jesus and his disciples, Peter, James, John, were walking into the city, and on the outskirts of the city, they saw a blind man, an individual who had been blind since birth, who'd been begging and begging and begging and was notorious around the community. Well, Jesus went over and showed compassion. He went over to this individual and he filled his mouth with saliva. He spit in the dirt. He wipes it on the guy's face. And then he tells the guy to go to the pool of Siloam, and there you will find your sight. Sure enough, he follows suit. And, and as only Jesus would predict, it came true. This blind man from birth went over, washed his face, and he was then with sight. To which an entire chapter of John begins to erupt, because he was so excited about having sight that he goes to his home, he goes to his family, and he begins to share with them, hey, guess what? I was blind, and now I see. You're wearing a red shirt. It's the same color as that apple on the kitchen table. It's red. I can see. I was blind, and now I see. And everybody began talking about him. Everyone began to share and to begin talking about, to such a degree that they took him from the house to the temple so that he could see the Jewish leaders. And the Jewish leaders began to interrogate, who would do this? Sure enough, they began to ask, and he shared the story again. Well, in the midst of him sharing the story, they began to drag his parents into the middle of this. And they asked him, is this your son? The man that we believe to be the blind man, is that your son? And was he blind? And they say, yes, he was, and that was my son. He is my son, and he was blind. And they asked, can you account for how this happened? And they said, no, you should ask him. He is of age. So sure enough, they go, they ask him, but the fascinating thing in this story is the reason the parents answered the way they did. You see, John documents that the parents were fearful of the Jewish leaders because the Jewish leaders had already made up their mind about who Jesus was. They had already made up their mind about what is possible with God. And I believe the same could be true of us. For many of us, when it comes to God, when it comes to our God box, if you will, there are certain things that we don't allow to come into the box, and there's certain things that we would completely push out. There's certain people, there's certain habits, there's certain things that there's no way God could ever love or could ever be around or could ever tolerate. But it's fascinating because they continue to ask this man, weren't you the one that was blind? Is this the Son of God? And he continues to answer and say, you know what? I don't know if he's the Son of God. Here's what I do know, is I was blind, and now I see. I was blind, and for some reason, his spit in my eyes at that pool gave me sight. And the thing I love is that we don't have all the answers, but we can peer into who John is and John's account of Jesus' life. And we can find that John, through seeing Jesus, was able to believe that Jesus was the Son of God. And for many, that's your story. You found yourself in addictions. You found yourself in difficult relationships. You found yourself at the dead end of life, and you put your arms up and you said, God, I need your help. And it was in that moment that you realized that there can be hope, that there can be joy, that there, even in our circumstances, that there is life. And you would attest, just like the blind man, you know what? I know where I was. I was blind, but now I see. I don't know all the details. I don't know what's going on. But here's what I know. that through Jesus I have hope and I have joy and I have peace, even in the midst of these difficult circumstances. Just like the blind man, many of us have the same story. We don't know all the details, but the thing we know is we were blind. And now, through that Jewish rabbi and what he did on our behalf, we now have sight. So this Easter season, I want to invite you, regardless of where you stand, regardless of what you know, and regardless of your ability to truly open your God box and allow a resurrected Savior in, I want to invite you. What does the resurrection mean to you? How does the resurrection really provide us with hope and comfort? And how, when we anchor our life to a risen Savior, how does it give us hope in the midst of these difficult circumstances? My prayer for you, as well as my daily prayer, is God, give us eyes to see as only you can see. Yeah, I'm not going to know all the answers, but I'm going to trust, and I'm choosing to believe that Jesus is who he says he is. Because, like many of you, I was blind, but now I see. Hey, thank you so much for engaging with us today. If you are watching this, we're going to be posting this on Wednesday. So if you're watching this after Wednesday, you can go ahead and turn it off or whatever. But if you're watching it on Wednesday, you'll want to make sure and tune in this afternoon at 7 o'clock on Facebook Live. I'll be having a Facebook prayer time. Love for you to be a part of. And secondly, if you're new to North Tarrant Church and you're still watching, thank you. I'd love for you to go and check out our website. We are sharing lots of different ways and content and opportunities for you to engage with us as a church and engage with this message of hope that Jesus is providing regardless of the times. Hey, thank you, and y'all have a wonderful day.